Chris here from MTR Network. Just got out of Justice League. Gonna give you my quick thoughts on the film. Check it out. All right, we're here. Gonna give you my quick thoughts on Justice League. Let's get right into it. Number one, and the film is fun. The film is fun and funny. Look, one of the things that's driven me crazy in this whole Marvel versus DC debate people have is this idea that somehow DC is the serious one and Marvel is the one that doesn't take anything seriously. Look, DC characters are fun, particularly these characters. They have fun together, and having them and being funny and having humor, and us as an audience having fun watching them. That's part of the thing. Like, too many of you all out there have these ideas of the Justice League because all you did was read the Injustice comic books or you played the Injustice game. That's not the Justice League. And so when you actually read the Justice League and when you actually enjoy these characters, they're fun. They're funny. You have fun moments between the characters. And you know what? The cast seems to enjoy themselves way more than they did in BVS. Like, when I watched BVS and got out of BVS, like, I felt a weight on me. It just felt like I just, like, went 10 rounds with a heavyweight. When I left out of Justice League, like, for all its problems, I still had a smile on my face. I still enjoyed myself. And you know what? Something happened at the end of this film that didn't happen in BVS? The audience clapped. Go figure. So I'll take that. Number two, and I think this is a big thing that's kind of plagued the DCEU throughout everything they've done, and that's they get to the core of the characters here. I think that that's something that they did really well with Wonder Woman, and I think one of the reasons why we kind of excuse the end of Wonder Woman was kind of a mess. The reason why we excuse that is because, you know, the core of the character, the core of Wonder Woman, the core of Diana is really captured in that film, and they carry that momentum into this film. Like, obviously, Wonder Woman was the one character I wasn't worried about because, you know what? She was also the best thing in BVS as well. So, like, I kind of figured that they go 3 for 3 with Wonder Woman, but everybody else, they pretty much nail. Like, Batman feels like Batman. He's not this murder versus Batman. Yes, he's a loner. Yes, he has trouble. He has a hard time playing well with others. The other characters kind of look at him like, you're just a man in a bat suit. What the fuck? Like that's there, and he is a dick, but like he's a dick, and he does it in a way to make people, you know, to get reaction out of people on purpose. Like it feels like the Batman we know. Cyborg, they did a really great job with Cyborg, and Cyborg feels like, you know, he's really struggling between understanding if he's man and he's too much machine, and he's trying to understand what's going on with him. And I think they do a really great job with him. Aquaman, hey, look, you know, when you cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman, you're gonna try to change the image of what Aquaman is, thanks to all the damage that Family Guy has done, and they kind of nailed the idea of him being this arrogant loner who doesn't want to be in Atlantis or fully fit into land. I think we'll get more of him, and I'm really interested in seeing what we do with him next year in Aquaman. But I think they also capture the core of that character as well. The Flash, we'll save the Flash for later, but I will say this: Ezra Miller does a really great job at the character they give him. He's funny. He plays the youngest member of the team who's really just feels like he's out of his element. And I never really worried about Ezra Miller playing this character. I mean, he's a good actor, so I knew he'd be fine, so that's okay. And that kind of leaves, I am leaving one character off here, but that kind of goes to my next thing here. They kind of reboot Spider-Man. They kind of reboot Superman. And it's, I said Spider-Man because they've rebooted Spider-Man so many times, but that's basically what this is. I mean, this film kind of soft reboots Superman to give you the Superman that I think people wanted in Man of Steel. Look, it's no secret that they're bringing Superman back. You can't have Justice League without Superman. And I do think that there are going to be people that have a problem with how they bring Superman back. But I'll put it this way: I don't think any way that they could have done this would have been well and would have been done well. It's just the way that they had to go about bringing Superman back. He should never have died in BVS to begin with. You should never have done the death of Superman second film in. They did it. You had to live with that decision. You have to bring him back. I think they did the best they could with what they were given, and I'm able to excuse it because the Superman we get back is the Superman I think a lot of people wanted. Like, he feels like that Superman, and it really makes you realize why they picked Henry Cavill to be Superman. Much like how in the first Avenger, Captain America, the first Avenger, people weren't really sold on Chris Evans, but then when you got Avengers, they were sold on him. I feel like this is gonna sell people on Henry Cavill as Superman. He had, like, when he comes back, he just feels like that force that we've been waiting for. And tell you this, he has some really great. Superman has some really great moments. There's 3 really great scenes with him and the Flash that I think really solidified that moment and really kind of give you what we were hoping for. So, and that kind of goes with the last thing I have here as far as the things I really enjoyed, and I think that's the fact that it's a clear tonal and directional shift for the DCEU. For all of its flaws, and I'm going to get into those a little bit later, this film represents DC and Warner Brothers trying to turn the page and move away from what Zack Snyder did and go into a different direction and do it in the path of least resistance. And yes, there are problems when you do it that way and you go from one direction and you go such a far shift. There are gonna be problems, but I think that I'm happy that I can see them wanting to change. Look, we've seen what happens when you have a direction and people don't care because it makes money. Like, these films make money. They should make more money, but they make money. So Warner Brothers and DC could have really just said, fuck it, we don't care. They could have pulled a Michael Bay like he does with Transformers and said, hey, you're going to get the films I want to make and that's it. And that's not what they're doing here. They really want to make the films that make the fans happy. And to me, I think while this kind of made it a mess, it's a beautiful mess. And I think that I'm giving them credit for seeing that they want to, they're making positive changes and they're moving in a possible direction. Like, I think that they had a hard job ahead of them to make this change. And I think that this is, I'm surprised and shocked by how well they made the transition and change. So, all right. So those are the things I kind of liked. So let's get into some of the things I didn't like. So what didn't work? So these first 2 things that didn't work, it's not necessarily they didn't work for me, but I can see they're going to be problems. And the first one I'm going to say is, it's edited to hell. Like, there's no way around it. This film, they knocked the runtime down for this film all the way down to under 2 hours. So when you think about this, you had to introduce Aquaman, Cyborg, the Flash, bring the team back together. You had to resurrect Superman, and you also have a villain. You had to have a whole story there. And it's all done under 2 hours. And it is very, very clear that they had to cut a lot of things out, and you can tell, like, at the beginning of the film, you transition from scene to scene, character to character, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it, and they're not really smooth transitions to different scenes, and they don't sometimes make sense. Like, characters go from one part of the world to another part of the world to it's just getting to where you need to get to. And as a film and as a film critic, I have to say that it's not done really well. But as a fan and as an audience member, I'm actually okay with it. And the reason for I'm okay with it is because the alternative is that they left all that stuff in there and they make it a film that's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and you risk another BVS. I think as an audience member, I would rather them have these hard cuts, have these rough transitions, and get from scene to scene, point to point, sometimes action scene to action scene, and get to the point, versus having me sit there and drag everything out and over explain things and have scenes that last too long. Like, again, when you think about the production hell that this film had to go through, it was always going to have an editing problem. And compared to what we've seen in things like Suicide Squad, where it's edited to hell and it just feels like off, you can tell that it feels off here, but it's off in a good way, so it doesn't bother me that much. But I can definitely see how that can bother other people. Another thing that I think will bother some people, it doesn't really bother me, and I'll explain why. Steppenwolf is he's a forgettable villain. It's just what it is. He's very forgettable as a villain, and he's literally just there to bring the Justice League together and get those characters together. But that's also kind of why it doesn't bother me as much. It kind of reminds me of the Marvel villain problem people have that it never really bothered me. Here's the thing: if you get the heroes together and the film is mostly centered on them, I don't necessarily care if the villain is forgettable or if I care. I don't need the villain to be fully fleshed out, and he's definitely not fully fleshed out in this film. But Steppenwolf is there solely to bring the Justice League together and give them somebody to fight. And in that respect, he does his job, and I think that's all he's there for. To tell you the truth, I would rather them waste this character and then say if they had got brought in like say Darkseid and they did the same thing with him. Like to me, I think Steppenwolf is a perfect throwaway villain to use for this and go from there. So that's how I feel on that one. Again, I can definitely see why some people would have problems with the villain though. So one thing that I will say about Steppenwolf, and I think that does kind of go something that doesn't bother me with all these films. He doesn't look good. Like, I've always seen this argument about how the DC films look better than the Marvel films, and I'm still waiting to see that. Because, no. It's not every action scene, and it's not every effect. Like, some of them are really good. Like, there's scenes in there where Wonder Woman saves a bunch of innocent people, and shout out to them using her super speed. Thank you for acknowledging that. No, thank you for acknowledging she's faster than most. And it looks really well, though. It's done really well, and I love it. They even have a great moment of a great use of slow motion in that. It's done really well. But then you get when she's like fighting Steppenwolf, or they're fighting the parademons. It's really weird. They do this thing where it's like you get these quick cuts, but they're also very CG heavy scenes, and it just feels bad. It feels off, and I don't know what it is with this thing that all these films have the same. All these films, all of them, at the end of their films, every DCEU film, go and check them out and see. The end of the films, all their CG heavy villains, it all feels the same. Like the same thing in this film, the same thing in Wonder Woman, the Enchantress's brother in Suicide Squad, Doomsday in BVS. Like they all feel they're just so heavily CG that you can't really enjoy the scene. Think about how when Hela fought those Asgardian guards in Ragnarok. Like you could see everything in that scene. You can't really do that in Justice League. The only time that you've been able to I've been able to really enjoy it end of the final boss fight, if you will, in a DCEU film is Man of Steel, when they had Zod. And I think part of that was because you actually had another human there. It wasn't a heavily overly CGI'd character, and I think that I really hope going forward that they fix that problem, because it's very noticeable. The last thing I have to get into, and hold on, I need to check real quick. All right, yeah. So look, we are a pro Wally West organization here at the MTR Network, and that gets into, again, this is a personal nitpick of mine that really doesn't go towards Justice League. It's just a whole DC thing. I'm tired of them using a character they call the Flash and they call Barry Allen, and really all he really is Wally West. I said earlier that they nail all the characterizations to all the characters. And listen, I don't really have a problem with Ezra Miller version of the Flash. It's just that he's really more Wally West Kid Flash than he is Barry Allen. And it's just very it drives me crazy. It's a personal thing. I don't hold this against the film because also the other thing too, I don't blame Zack Snyder. I do not blame the DC films. I don't blame because this is a DC thing to begin with. Ever since they got rid of Wally West, I know he's back in Rebirth, but you know Wally West is a Flash from 1986 to like 2009, and DC got rid of him, and that's fine. They brought back Barry Allen. Um, the problem is when they would do like animated films with like the Flash, they would name him Barry Allen, but he was really Wally West, and they would take like Wally West characterizations and in storyline, and they would do it that way. And I feel like that's kind of what they did here. Like, I think Ezra Miller makes a great Wally West. You change his hair color, he is Wally West. He's nailed Wally West. Even here in this film, if you say he's filling in and he's taking over because his Uncle Barry, he used to be the Flash, died, and that's how like that would have worked so well. It would have made so much more sense to me character wise in the way he's characterized in this film than to call him Barry Allen. And I understand that, you know, trying to say that Barry Allen existed before, you know, the Justice League was formed and things like that would be a problem. But here's the thing. They bring back Superman and they don't really address the fact that Clark Kent also died and that somehow does the world know he's like they don't want to address that shit. So they could have fixed it. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that always kind of bothers me that he should be Wally West, not Barry Allen. It is what it is. Again, I don't hold it against the film, but it's just my personal pet peeve. So there you guys have it. Those are my quick thoughts on Justice League. All in all, look, it's to me, it's my second favorite DCEU film, and again, that's a pretty low bar. I do think I like it more than Man of Steel. I think it comes in after Wonder Woman because it's not as well of a put together film as Wonder Woman. But considering everything that they had to do with this film and the pressure they were under and just the direction they're trying to change from, I gotta say I'm enjoying what I enjoy what I saw. Like my expectations were in the gutter to begin with. So, and yes, there is some mess here, and there are some problems, but it's a beautiful mess. It's a mess that I can enjoy. And here's the thing: with a runtime under 2 hours, I can kind of forgive it. Like it doesn't give me. It's not like BVS where I'm sitting there for so long that all I can start doing is thinking about the bad things I don't like in the film. By the time you start wondering, hey, that's not gonna. Oh wait, we're moving on to something else now. It's the film moves quickly enough that you can do that. So that's what I think. So I say go check it out. We'll have a full review later on in the week. Make sure you subscribe to MTR Network on YouTube, and you can check that out when we get it up. And if you're a premium member, we will get our spoiler review out for that and Ragnarok coming soon. So make sure you sign up for MTR Premium. Let us know what you think in the comments and share it with your friends. Thank you guys.